The only thing that's ever separated me from anybody is my mentality. I'm the same little girl that ran up and down the streets like every other little girl. I'm the same little girl that was boy crazy at one point in time of her life. And I faced like a lot of the same stuff that most people from my neighborhood had to face. Whether it be growing up without a dad, being raised by all women, not one strong male figure in your life, period, to begin with. Having some days you don't really know what you're gonna eat. When you in the house with all women, they figure it out, even if it's just a quick meal. Just having those days, it made me who I am, you know what I'm saying? Just like anybody who go through anything, it make you who you are. And my mentality is what has been able to help me sustain it and continue to thrive outside of my neighborhood. And what I mean by that is the things that I see and the things that I experienced growing up where I grew up, I took it different than a lot of people would. Like I say to myself a lot that when something happens to you, you got two choices on how you can deal with it. You can either use what you're going through, your situation, your circumstances as an excuse, or you can use it as motivation. And everything that I seen growing up, everything that I went through, and everything I saw my parents, my mom and my grandmother and my great-grandmother go through, it just changed my mentality. And at a very young age, like 8 or 9, and I just knew I was different. Growing up around all boys, man, like, it make you aggressive. I didn't intend on playing basketball. Like, that wasn't, like, in my agenda. But I was always a tomboy, I think. Like, I don't think I just wanted to play basketball because I wasn't good. Like, I probably would shoot with my cousin, but I sucked. So it was like, whatever. Like, maybe I guess I'll pick it up. And my best friend was a basketball player. And him and my cousins would always play together all the time, man. Like, my best friend was probably like my first crush. So I just wanted to spend as much time with him as possible when I was little. So in order for me to do that, like, he played on the basketball team, so he was at basketball practice. I wanted to be at basketball practice. I wanted to be wherever he was at. He got to the point where he was playing in like an actual like game. I'm like, man, I want to play too. So I just would go out and hoop with him. And I ain't really know like it was gonna be nothing I fell in love with. So eventually, like, we went to the same elementary school, and I think that year, like, they was having like a really good year. I'm like, man, I want to try out for the team. And I tried out for the team, and I got cut. Like, just me getting cut, that, like, at that point, like, I feel like it put a chip on my shoulder. So, like, the man who cut me, like, my coach Daddy Shawless, like, my dad, like, when he cut me, like, I honestly feel like me getting cut at that point made me into the player that I am. It was like a good hurt, I guess, because I thought I was good. Like, I thought I was good enough to play with because I mean, in elementary school, the team is mixed. It's mixed with girls and boys, so you got to be able to hold your own. So I'm telling my cousin, like, man, I want to play. And eventually, he just was like, all right. He took me in the backyard and beat me up. Like, I think he beat me like 20-0. And I still got scrapes and burns from getting pushed up against the house, and I just kept taking L's, and I was getting so mad. But I did that for a whole summer. After I got cut, I just kept losing. I kept losing, and I would play with my best friend, them, just following them around the neighborhood. And I came back 4th grade, and like, I made the team, but I sucked still. Like, I still wasn't really good, so I rode the bench. But like, I might not be the most talented, and I'm, of course, never gonna be the tallest. I've been 5'9" for a long time. So, and then at that point, I was like 4'11", so I was little, and I'm like, so I gotta work hard because everybody else either gonna be. I'm on a team full of boys, so everybody more athletic. They've been playing basketball way longer, so everybody's technically better than me. But I had to outwork them. And I think that just kind of stuck with me, and that became my identity at a young age. My cousin TJ, He had like amazing like IQ on the court, and he was super athletic. Of course, I can't pick up the athleticism, but his IQ I definitely picked up. And my cousin Quez, like, man, he was super aggressive. Like, he was this light-skinned dude. You know, light-skinned dudes don't really like getting hit, but you hit him, scratch him, he taking it. Like, he was getting to the rim at all costs. So I took the aggressiveness from him. And then we had this guy, Edward, man. Edward was huge. Like, Edward got this real big butt. And he had like the best post moves though. Like, he knew how to use his body to score. I don't care how athletic you were. He was probably the least athletic on the court, and I think I probably learned the most from him because I've always been undersized and I've always had, you know what I'm saying, some weight on me. So I just had to learn how to use my body. I mean, my cousin DJ, just his presence was always known. Like, when he stepped on the court, when he stepped in the backyard, his presence was known. You knew he was coming in the hoop. Like, so I really pride myself on that. Like, whenever I go into a gym, I might not score, but you gonna know when I come on the floor. I might not, you know what I'm saying? I may not have a dominant game to some people, but somebody gonna notice me. Like, with my best friend, man, his court vision is ridiculous. Like, he was probably one of the best point guards I ever saw in my life. And a lot of people say I have the vision of a guard because, one, I played point guard at some point in time, but growing up and you seeing this, like, just watching him from the sideline, you see the stuff that he see before he, you know what I'm saying, even pass the ball, because you watched him play so many times, so you start seeing the floor the way he see the floor. I was happy I was on the team, but my mom and them coming to every game and I'm on the bench, so my mom and them in the crowd yelling because they baby suited up machine in the game and they came to see me play, so it just didn't work out, I guess, my 4th grade year. But then 5th grade summer, going into 5th grade, I did the same thing I did the summer before. I just ran up and down the street with boys all day long. And I followed my older cousins. At the time, my older cousins was probably like 15, 16. So they big, like, playing. And I'm like, man, I want to play with y'all. So my cousin would pick me up on the team sometimes. Sometimes he'd just have me sitting over there looking stupid. But I got a lot better. And then I think I kind of found my identity. I figured out I was a post player. So I just tried to become the best post player I could. And I came into 5th grade year and I had like a really good year. Like, we ended up making it to the championship, like all that kind of stuff. I think we lost in the championship, but it was just like I had a really good year. And that's when I kind of came into my own. It was 5th grade and I realized like I was actually good. And then like 6th grade, you don't get to play ball in the city. Like, you can't play middle school ball in 6th grade. So that's kind of like your midpoint. It sucks because you can't play elementary ball, you can't play middle school ball. So I just took that, once again, that whole year to just try to get better. And then I remember Shaw walking up to me in school and was like, you're going to be point guard next year. I've been playing post since I started playing basketball. So I'm like, I'm not playing no point guard next year. And he's like, yeah, you're going to play point guard next year. So 7th grade come around and my school was in the midst of transition and we were just a strictly elementary school. And then as we got ready to go to middle school, it became a middle school. So I just stayed. So I've been with like the same kids since like 2nd grade. But 7th grade, sure enough, he made me point guard. And I was like, I was still little. And I was fat, so I'm like, dog, like, how does that work? Like, how am I about to be a point guard? But it ended up working, and we won a championship. That was our first ever championship because that was our first year being in middle school. So we won the middle school championship. Like, I think we won by like 5 points against, I want to say, Duffield Middle School. But that was like my first ever championship ever, so that was cool. And then, like, I'm used to being a point guard now, like, so I trained that whole summer to be a guard, and I lost all this weight, well, kind of, sort of, and then come back 8th grade, and our team was so good our 7th grade year, but everybody was 8th graders. Like, it was only like 3 of us that were in the 7th grade, so everybody was 8th graders, so they were ready to go to high school, so we lost majority of our team. I'm getting to the point where this is about to be my first taste of the recruitment process. And I know y'all probably like, what, the recruiting process in like 7th, 8th grade? Like, understand the basketball scene here in Detroit around my 7th, 8th grade year was immaculate. Like, it was ridiculous. They were coming to our middle school games and scouting out players to fit into their high school programs, or even for AAU teams. So at this point, when like I said, we just won our first championship, so of course everybody's like, okay, Cooper just got into the middle school league, like how are they winning championships already? So of course we called attention then, but then we had such an elite team, and so we got the attraction there. But my team was so good that year, I ended up setting like a assist record for the city in middle school. I didn't even really score, I just had to pass the ball. And when everybody left, then I had to become a scorer, because we had lost the majority of our scorers. So, and my 8th grade year, I went back into the post. So 8th grade, I had to go down and play power forward, and then I had to deal with a what would be considered a rookie point guard who had, she didn't play point guard when she was in elementary and nothing like that. So she didn't really have, I guess, the point guard skills that I felt like I had, but we ended up making it work, and we had some really good other pieces that ended up fitting, and we ended up winning our second championship back-to-back for 8th grade. And then after that, just like high school, man, when you gotta start preparing for the next level, this is around the time like AAU teams and all of that was becoming relevant to me, and I really, hadn't heard anything about it until I got to like 7th or 8th grade. So at that point, like, my level of basketball was starting to grow to a new level.
It's been kind of tough, because it seems like she can't catch a break. One thing will go wrong, she'll get better, than another thing will go wrong. But on the other side of it, it's been cool to see her grow, because she keep going no matter what happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, left and right stuff coming, but she still get back up every single time. So it's been encouraging and inspiring from the outside looking in as well.
Shaw would take us wherever we asked to go for a trial. If it was an open gym, it didn't matter. Like, if we wanted to go, he was gonna take us. And my best friend, like I said at the time, was Tori, and she wanted to go try for Michigan crossover, so we actually went together. And we both made the team, and she stuck it out. Like, I just didn't want to stick it out, because it just wasn't me. Like, it was, I guess, because I was so chubby at the time, like, and they ran a lot. I'm just be honest, like, I just went with all the running. But Michigan crossover still continues to be a very thriving program as far as AAU. Michigan crossover at the time was strongly affiliated with King High School. Now, like, when you get ready to go to high school in the city, you have to take this test, and it's the King Cass Renaissance test. Those are the 3 dominant high schools in the city, and they were considered the top high schools. So it was like taking ACT to get ready to go to these high schools. And if you get accepted, you might get accepted into 1, you might get accepted into 2, you might get accepted into all 3, or you just not get accepted at all. And I've always prided myself on being a good student athlete, and I've always had grades. I've always did what I was supposed to do in the classroom, and I didn't do good on the test. I didn't get into either school, and I had just kind of like made up my mind, because my older cousin at the time, she was going to King, and I had a friend who had got promoted out of the 7th grade, and she ended up going to 8th grade in the middle of the year. So she was going to Renaissance. That she left and went to Renaissance the year before. So I'm like, all right, maybe I want to go to Renaissance. I didn't really want to go to Cash, and I had kind of set my eyes on Renaissance, and that didn't end up working out, because like I said, I didn't pass the test to get into either school. So that was like my first taste of failure, and just how your plans could alter. Like, at that time, I had kind of a chip on my shoulder, because my best friend was getting recruited heavy by King. Like, King wanted her. She was 6'1", 6'2". So King wanted her, and I'm like, all right, don't nobody want me, and I'm making all this happen. Like, I'm the reason. I'm one of the main reasons behind all these championships, and don't nobody want me. So I don't know. I built up this grudge against King first and foremost, like, because I felt like they was coming after her so hard. So my feelings was like super hurt, and I had kind of put a chip on my shoulder, like, man, whatever school I go to, if I play King, I'm giving them buckets. Like, that's the mindset I had coming into high school. And I had a friend at the time who played on the 7th grade team with me, Davina. She left after our 7th grade year, and she moved to Warren, and we kind of like bumped into each other again. No, I bumped into her older brother, and he gave her my number, and we ended up getting back in touch. And at the time, she was like going to open gyms at Fitzgerald in Warren, and she was like, I think you should come to open gym with me. And I don't think I ever got a chance to make it out there. And I think this was towards the end of my 8th grade season, cause Coach Hines, who had just got the head coaching position at Fitzgerald, was able to come to one of my games. Him and his daughter Christian, who would later on become my point guard. But they came out to one of my games, and at the end of the game, came and introduced himself. And his daughter was like, man, like I want you to come to Fitz. Like I don't know you, but I like your game, so I really want you to come here. And it took me a while. Like I ended up talking to my mom and everybody about it. And my mom and them, of course, they didn't want me to go to school in the city, so she was open to whatever. And I think I went out there to like an open gym or two, and I just kind of fell in love with it because the school was huge and it had 2 gyms and all. Like it just wasn't nothing I had saw in the city, so I'm like, yeah. So I ended up going through the whole application process, and in the midst of me doing that, not knowing if I was gonna get into Fitzgerald, I had like put my eyes on Crockett High School, which was the only high school my mama would have allowed me to go to in the city. And me and the coach had kind of connected, and we were good. And I'm like, all right, if this don't work out, I'm gonna be enrolled at Crockett. And I found out I got accepted into Fitzgerald a couple of weeks before school started. And it was funny because I had just went and did all my paperwork for Crockett because I didn't know like if I was gonna get in or not. Like I said, that whole recruiting process, it gave me a quick look at what could possibly happen. And I'm not saying I was able to deal with stuff better later on, because I don't honestly think I did, but it definitely gave me my first taste. Like, all right, stuff could not go the way you think it's supposed to go